Good morning, everybody. I hope you guys are all having an amazing Saturday. It's beautiful and sunny here in Calgary. And I was having fun this morning playing with these products from Stampers Anonymous. Hi, Catherine. This is an older stamp set that I'm featuring, but it is super fun. And I love that as Stampers Anonymous, they don't retire their stamps and products. And so if you do have an older one or if you see someone using an older one, then you can still get it, which is amazing. I'm not sure exactly when this one came out, but I have used this quite a lot and I love these blueprint stamps. I love that. These ones are really a larger size. They do have other ones that are these, but in minis, so you can get the blueprints in a couple different sizes, which is awesome as well. And lately, Stampers Anonymous has also been coming out with some polymer stamps that are um, they have a stencil with them in the package, and it's a really nice way to pick up, a stamp and stencil that you can use on your projects. Kind of a new little goodie for yourself that's really priced well. So just making sure that everybody can hear me, and it looks like we are looking okay in the camera. Hello, Artie. Hello, Shirley. How is everybody today? So we are going to use some Stampers Anonymous stamps. So we've got the Treats Blueprint. That's a stamp set, and you can see how fun this would be for summer. And I think you could use this for lots of different occasions. Like this would be fun, for birthdays, even the popcorn or movie night invitation would be really fun. Summer barbecue would be fun if you wanted to send out some invites. I think all of these work for birthday cards, definitely. Depending, you can pair them with any sentiment. So I think they're not themed specifically, so whatever you want to use these for is great. The ice cream would be really fun for summer or to add onto a summer page to create like your own custom embellishment. So if you had an ice cream that was a specific flavor and you have a picture of it. Hello from Ontario, Marley. Nice. Hi, Carmen. Hope Ontario is nice and warm for you. You could also double stamp the ice cream, and make different layers of ice cream. So, a double or triple scoop or something, which would be really fun. I also pulled out the note quotes. I really like this stamp set. So we are going to use You Are My Happy. I was also thinking about Make Today Count, just kind of like counting the gumballs. I think that would be really cute. But this stamp set has so many different options for stamps. You've even got, Holly Jolly, Trick or Treat, Joy to the World. So red, white, and blue, Easter. So lots of regular as well as holiday sentiments, which are really great. Hello, Walla. Hello, Fabian and Linda, everybody who's popping in. So good that you're here. And all the stamp sets fit in either the circle, so here we've done the circle, or the little kind of paint splatter, or the square, which is great. So we've got those for stamps. Then I pulled out the Elements stencils. So we did do tags one time with this, and I made these into different things. Like this was a birthday cake, and it was really fun using these. I really like these stencils. I pulled out these little circles because, of course, I feel like they match the gumballs, and that's why I used the circle for the outline for You Are My Happy, just kind of keeping that circular theme. we're going to use a little bit of Distress ink. And I use the Archival ink for stamping. So the Archival ink is permanent, great for watercoloring, which we're going to do with the Distress watercolor pencils. And I have sets 1, I really like the pink in this, as well as set 2, just because I felt like the colors went really well with the colors in this paper. And I didn't use a lot of this paper. Welcome to everybody, Renata and Art Sandy and Sue and Kim Reed. How are you? And Anne and Pauline. And did I miss anybody here? Heather. A couple weeks ago, we made, or maybe a month ago, we made some birthday cards with the Hip Hip Hooray set, which were really fun, and we did some foiling. And so I just used some of this paper because I love the color. And what I do like doing if I'm, what I do like doing, sorry, it looked like someone was pulling into my driveway, and I was thinking, I hope they're not going to knock on the door because then the dog will go crazy. Anyway, so when I'm coloring with the watercolor pencils or any coloring, I like to match the colors to my paper. So even if I'm not using a lot of the paper, I find that it gives me a starting point for using the colors, because all these colors that they've coordinated into this paper look great together, and then I can just pull out the colors that I want. So here I pulled out this star paper with the black background, and then I went and looked for the sets that I had that have colors that match this. So that's why I picked out this pink here, and then went ahead and picked out the colors that I want to use in this, which we'll do in a second. And we've got, again, the colors that are matching. Hello, Deb from Ontario, and Debbie, Joanne, and Sue, and Dawn from Sudbury. Nice. There's lots of people from Ontario here. Hello. Oh, I've got my phone at a weird angle here. I think it's Lenice. And sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. And Carla and Laura. So I pulled out the pink and main enamel dots because I felt like they matched nicely. And then we've got the touch of gloss. And here you can kind of see, I didn't put the gloss on all of the gumdrops, but you could, but I just put them on a few for like some interest. Laura's from Texas. That's awesome. Hello, Deborah and Sarissa Dale. And then, of course, we've got our Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L. This is the Easy Runner Grand. It's the permanent, so there's different refills that you can put in this. I love this for card making and scrapbooking. It's a really nice, strong adhesive, super easy to change out. If you need to change, you just pop it open and pop the other one in. And then the 3D foam squares. So these are the black ones. And we've got a couple different sizes, which is always handy to have. Hello, Darla and Marley. And oh, Meta is from New Jersey. That's nice. So some US people too. We're getting ready for Canada Day here next week, and you guys are getting ready for your 4th of July. Deborah from California. That's very cool. And Yuko, yes, you're from the VIP group, and as well, there was someone else I saw from the VIP group earlier. Yuko's from Ohio, and saying hi to everyone. And if you don't know, we have a VIP group, Facebook group on Facebook, with so many amazing people. And if you want to check that out, you can go to Creative Scrapbooker magazine website, and there's the VIP. You'll see the link there, and you can find out all about it. It's such a wonderful place to join. And So many friends that I've met there. Yes, it is me, Karla. Thank you, Yuko. And here we have some OLFA scissors, which of course are my favorite scissors for fussy cutting. So that's what we're using today. So let's get into making our card. This, sometimes when I think about Stampers Anonymous, I think of like more of a grungy, vintage feel, which I love that. But sometimes I want to make a nice, a bright card, which I feel like this is. So you still get that vintage feel with the elements that are drawn. These are from the Tim Holtz collection. And but we've got these bright colors because of the colors that we chose, as well as the paper. And it's more of like a cleaner card than not a lot of mixed media, but we still do have some on there. Hey Tamara, how are you? Tamara's my bestie. And hello, Sue and Marley. It's so great to see you guys. All right, so let's move these for a minute. We've got our image stamped out. This is on Prison Studio watercolor paper, and I stamped that with the Archival ink. And so I know that it is not going to move when I put the watercolor on it because, of course, if you had a dye ink, that's going to run. So you want to make sure that you have an ink that's permanent. I also sometimes like using embossed images to watercolor with, but I feel like these do really well. They don't run all over the place. And I'll show you how I watercolor with them so that it is just a kind of a smooth watercolor process and really quite clean. So I'm just going to grab usually I have like a tissue or a cloth, and that's just to dab my brush off. And I'm going to pull out the colors. So I've got a blue and a green. I did originally use this because I felt like that green, like greenish blue, really matched the lighter color, but it was pretty light just on its own. So I decided to go with a little bit darker green. And then we've got an orange, a yellow, a red, and then this pink here. And then I'm using the iced spruce as a gray. So it's kind of greenish gray, depending on what you use it on, but I felt like it worked pretty well for the gray. So this colored up pretty quickly. And what I like to do is take my water brush, I squeeze it a little bit so there's just a little bit of water that comes out. And then I actually just pick up the color from the Distress watercolor pencil. And this whole pencil is pigment. So this is going to last like literally the rest of my life. You've got so much pigment in here. You can do lots of different things. There's different techniques where you can dip these in water. So many fun techniques. You can have a look on like YouTube is great. Tim Holtz is great for having videos on how he uses his products. And I'm just randomly going in and coloring some of these, and we can come back and add some. And then to clean it, I'm not squeezing it, I'm just wiping it because we didn't have any of that color sucked up into there. Hey, Lindsay, how are you doing? All my friends are here today. I love Janice and Gail. All right, we'll do some on the red. And I'm really like, this is such a small area that I'm not even really worried about if the color runs a tiny bit. If you were coloring an area that um, you really wanted to keep separate, then you could just dry it in between. And I really like the Ranger Heat It craft tool for drying things. It does heat up enough to emboss things as well, but I love having that to be able to dry backgrounds and stuff like that. And then the more pigment you have on this, the darker it's going to be. So I just kind of went through my colors, and I love just hanging out. Usually if I was watercoloring this at home, I would put on a show. Marley said, oh, she's saying hi to her mom that's in the comments. That's so cute. Lindsay said she loves holidays when she can watch all those things live and not on replay. Yes, definitely. You're on summer holidays now, and it's a Saturday, so that helps. Hi, Lori. How are you doing? And Yuko said she loves the distress watercolor pencils. Nice. Yuko's been getting into mixed media a lot more, and she makes amazing projects. Yes, the Yuko Nabler has suggested that you might want to pick up the whole set of watercolor pencils, and I have to say I do agree. I do have them, and I love having them. A lot of times I'll pull out the colors that I want, but I do love having the assortment of the whole set. And I use them lots for lots of different things. So we're just adding these around. As well, the way this image is drawn, I don't think you have to be too fussy on how you're coloring it in. Like if you um, miss a couple spots or you don't get right to the edge, no one is going to know. And it just looks like you have planned that. This blue is not something that I normally would have pulled out with these colors unless if I wasn't looking at the paper. But the blue and the pink and the red and like they all look so nice together. And that's kind of why I like pulling out papers that inspire me to use the colors in them. I know if I like the paper, then I'm going to like those colors together. And sometimes even if, like I said, even if I'm using just a little piece of the paper that maybe doesn't have all these colors, I still know that the colors are going to work together. So yeah, I think I was saying when I color, I like to put on a movie or listen to some music and just really enjoy that coloring process. I'm not overly fussy about um, you know, that my coloring is perfect. I like the colors to match on my projects, and so I would be more concerned that the colors kind of flow rather than the coloring itself is perfect. That's kind of how I feel about it. And then I'm just going to come back in and add like fill in some little areas. The remaining gumballs. And I love gumball machines. Like whether it's, I do have a gumball machine. We have it in our little china cabinet thing. And I really love like stickers with gumballs, um, any type of gumballs. So I love that this set just kind of allows me to color it. I can use it on a card. I can cut it out, and it's a really good size to add to a scrapbook page as well. It's really cute. And let's see, maybe we'll put a pink right here in the center. So that colored up pretty quickly. And then the gumball machine itself, you can see some of those pinks are darker just because there was more pigment on. Then the machine itself, I thought I would keep it fairly traditional maybe. And if you find that the color is a little too dark, you can just squeeze your brush, get a little extra water on that, and then that's going to water it down a bit. Oh, yeah, Omeda, I love using it like this. The Secret Santa gave you at Christmas. Well, that was a nice Secret Santa. Yeah. Hello, Mary Beth. I'm so glad that you stopped in. Welcome. All right. So I find that it's easier to control. So you can like color on your project and then spread it around, but I just like this way of doing it. So, but I think however it works for you is what you should do. So for this, I like that they have a little bit of markings there where the shading is. You don't have to go back, but we probably will go back and just add a tiny, tiny bit of shading. And then we've got this little area here. I think there's lots of different ways you could color this. Again, I'm not being too concerned about it. And as the color fades off your brush, then you're getting a little bit of softer color there. And let's see, oh, and I have some around the bottom. But it goes on so smoothly. Okay, and then I will come in and just use this right now because I don't want the gray and the red, and it's a little bit larger area. I don't want that to run into each other. And I find that the color does soften a little bit as it dries as well. Okay, I want to make sure from the red that my brush is nicely wiped off. As long as I'm not seeing any color on there, it's fine. And let's grab our gray. I feel like I need to stock up on my thank you and my birthday cards and cards that can be used for any occasion. Sometimes I like to go back and add in my sentiment depending on, you know, what the occasion is. So, I mean, this could work for anything. You could put you are my happy and then so put happy birthday in the center or thank you. Lindsay, you missed the very beginning. Which paper did you use? I am using the Echo Park Hip Hip Hooray. So it's got such nice bright colors. We made 4 cards before with this. I'm zoomed in a little bit here, and that's a sticker sheet that comes with it. But Echo Park also, they have 6x6 paper pads. So if you're primarily getting it for card making and you feel like that is a better fit to have a 6x6 paper pad, then you can look for that. But we made foiled birthday cards with that a little while ago. So if you go look in the videos, if you're looking for that on the Creative Scrapbooker Facebook page, you'll find that video with the cards. So sometimes if I have a large, like a 12 by 12 paper pack, I like, you know, I'll make a few layouts with them and then I like using them for cards and cutting up the paper. So what I'm doing here is just adding the kind of silver accents, and then I can just come in and add a little bit of darker shading right around the edge if I want. Again, the way it is drawn kind of gives you that look anyways of the shading, which is nice. You can always wipe your brush off after you've applied a little bit of color and then pull the other color out, and that kind of softens it as well. Collectors unite, yes, I agree. Okay, and then I want to put some of this pink in the center here. So we'll go back to our pink just because I wanted pink to be a little bit of a highlight. I'm using the pink ink. This is picked raspberry. This one is the Dylusions Archival ink in bubblegum, but I think also that Tim Holtz has probably the picked raspberry in the Archival ink as well. So Ranger has Tim Holtz and Simon Hurley and Dylusions and then Dina Wakley. So they have all those artists who have their own colors, but you can definitely mix and match whatever colors you have that work. All right, and then we can just add just a little bit more of this gray. So maybe I'll just give this a very quick dry. I'm loving how this is looking. We'll add a little bit to this part here. And inside, kind of that mechanism. And then I want to add a little bit of just a highlight to the glass, so it doesn't have to be dark and we're not coloring in the whole thing. And if I want to go over it just to lift up a little bit of color, I can do that as well. And then the last thing we're going to do is just add a little bit of shading, a little bit of darker area right to that spot. There we go. And that was pretty quick, okay? We can put this aside. So we've got our image all colored. Then we can go ahead and cut it out. And these dry pretty quick as well. You're not adding a whole lot of water, so you don't have to worry about it too much. Watercolor paper or mixed media paper is going to be nicer to paint on because it's going to absorb the ink and the water a lot nicer. But if you only had regular paper, you can try it. It's not going to move around a whole lot, but try whatever paper you have. You might find something that you really like. So I'm cutting off the blueprint area because we're going to stamp that in the background. So you're still going to see it. And it's going to be almost like a decoupage layer, which that too would be fun to do, have different layers of this. So you could color each layer and then pop them up. That would be really fun, like to have the gumballs popped up and cut out each piece. So the OLFA scissors are little stitching scissors, but they are nice and sharp and small, and they work so nicely for fussy cutting. And if you are fussy cutting, just moving your paper instead of trying to maneuver your scissors works so much nicer. Lori as well is in the VIP group, and she said, or Yuko said, I'm doing the Ohio shop hop today. Nice, hitting 5 stores. Wow, that sounds fun. So is that, are those crafty scrapbook stores? I'm guessing. It sounds fun. All right, so now we're going to take our paper. I've got Creative Scrapbooker Superstock. Let's zoom back out a little bit. This is a really nice heavyweight paper. It's in a 12 by 12. So I have cut it down to 4 wide. So I got 3 strips of 4-inch wide cardstock. I made 2 of them because I have sample here into card bases. So they're still 5.5, but they're by 4. Nobody is going to be able to tell the difference. And then I had 2 more panels that I could use for the front. So we've got our card base, and I did top folding this time, which I don't always do, but I really like when I do it. It's fun. We've got our paper that I cut from the Echo Park paper. So I'm using the back side of this, and then we have the Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L Easy Runner. So that's going to add our adhesive that is nice and sticky and strong. We don't have to worry about cards falling apart. And we'll press that on. Then this piece here, I wanted to add a little bit of stenciling. So that's why I'm using the Elements stencils. There's also holiday elements. So this is everyday art. There's a holiday one that's a pack like this. I think they're so cute, and there's so many images in here that you can use. So I love these. These are some of my favorite stencils. And I pulled out, move this over here. I pulled out Distress inks. This is kind of my favorite combo for Distress inks because any of these can mix and you still get nice colors. So we've got the Worn Lipstick, the Mustard Seed, and Salty Ocean. And let's come in with, I've got some little brushes here. So we'll do some up here. And because I stamped this on the background, we don't have to worry about masking off. This is not going to be seen. Our gumball machine is going to stick right on top. So I do want the stenciling to kind of go underneath it. And I'm just going to grab a wipe and wipe my fingers off a little bit. The pencils just clean up with water. They're really easy cleanup. Okay, so we've got some of this Salty Ocean. You don't have to use all the stencil, but I do like that they've kind of positioned those stencil areas so that you could use it all and you're not going to get like a strip of circles. It is going to be nice and I don't know what the word is. You know what I mean. Okay, then we're going to put some pink on here. So I'm going to come out a little bit. This can be soft. It doesn't need to be super dark. It's just a background. And then we'll grab our yellow and we'll do some of the yellow. And where these colors mix, it kind of makes a nice shade. So isn't that nice? Like you get a little bit of purple in there, you get some yellow and orange and that blue. And then just because we're going to do another layer and I don't want to mix the colors before I start, I'm just going to wipe off my stencil. Another thing I love is this distress sprayer. It works really nice whether you're misting things or you're just doing a cleanup. And I think I talk about it every time, but having a nice sprayer that sprays like a nice mist, or you can kind of pump it a little bit and it'll do little droplets. It's so exciting when you have those tools that are kind of the basic tools, but they really enhance your crafting, like a good tape runner. All right, so we'll put some pink on here. I'm not worried about covering everything. Then we'll do a little bit of the blue. And you always get more showing than you think you do. So even though it is pretty light, when we pull the stencil off, and we'll get a little bit of green here with the blue mixing, you can see how pretty that turned out. Like so, hi Janet, it's like a VIP group reunion here. If you're wondering about that VIP group, you can go to the Creative Scrapbooker website and it will tell you all about joining the group. And it is such an amazing and positive, crafty group. I love it. All right, so we've got our background. We're going to now put this on. Okay, and even though there's not a lot of this paper showing, I love that you get those little stars just peeking out around the edge. and the colors coordinate. So then, and again, this stamp is from the Treats Blueprint stamp. The little ones that they have as well are really cute too. So if you're looking for those and you don't see them at your local scrapbook store, ask them if they can order them in. Most stores can order things in like that if they're at their distributor, and then they can order them in for you. All right, then we're going to put on our little strip of stripes. I like using like the stripes and the circles look good together. So we'll put this here kind of so that the gumball machine is going to be almost sitting on it. So it's not floating in the air. Then we need to stamp our sentiment. So let me just grab that. Okay, so I've got my stamp press. This is the Sizzix Stamp and Stencil Press. And I'm going to use those note quotes stamps. So first we'll do, and my paper on my background is kind of running out of stickiness. I've ordered some, I just haven't picked it up. So what I will do is use this repositionable Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L. Just put a strip of that on, and then it's just going to stick nicely on there. I don't have to worry about it moving around, and it kind of extends, you know, like if I don't have a replacement sheet right now, it extends the life of that. So we're going to stamp this. We've got the Black Soot Distress. Oh, thanks, Lindsay. All right. It is bright and fun. That's kind of what I was going for. I usually do twice, but I think that did stamp nicely the first time. This is just regular cardstock. And if you, I'm just going to wipe this off with water, but if you are someone that really likes to give your stamps a good clean, then you can use this Archival ink cleaner from Ranger. It works really nicely. Okay, and then we've got You Are My Happy. Like, I think that if you gave this to somebody, it does feel just happy, and we're going to use that bubblegum pink ink. I find that the Archival ink stamps really nicely. Like, you get a nice, crisp, bright stamp with the ink. So if I'm doing a sentiment, a lot of times I do use that. And I'll just get that a wipe off. And then you have that backing. These are cling and they'll stick to, you know, if you're putting them just on stamp block, you can use them like that. And then we're just going to trim out this sentiment. The circle is a little bit wonky, so I feel like you don't have to have it perfect. So we're just using those OLFA scissors and trimming this out. I love the little dots that it creates too. If you were stamping that on the background, that would be so fun. And the little, the paint swatch stamps, wouldn't those be so fun for swatching things? I think they would be so great. I think I may have done that one time, but I do have some more things I need to swatch. So Janet said, appropriate ink to go with the bubblegum machine. That's right. I wasn't even thinking that, Janet, but bubblegum pink, like how could you not think that? All right, so we are going to pop this up. We've got our Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L foam squares. So we're just going to put on whatever squares fit on here. We'll use the bigger ones because it's not a tiny image. There we go. And these foam squares stick really well as well. And I think I say this every time, but I love that the backing on all of their adhesive foam comes off so nicely, because there's literally nothing worse than putting foam tape on and not being able to get the backing off. All right, and then we're just positioning this to go right over the stamped image that we had already stamped. So we're going to pop that on. This, I felt like I wanted to just put flat down, just because we're going to add some enamel dots on there, and this is popped out, so it's kind of tucked underneath. I also like that, you know, we've got this striped paper that's tucked under here a little bit. The stenciling kind of goes under the bubblegum machine. So I like those layering elements. It's just kind of a little thing, but I feel like it makes it all work. All right, so then we've got these fun pink and main enamel dots. These ones are wildflowers. I don't know if this particular set is still in their shop, but they have lots of enamel dots. You can look and just figure out what color. I felt like the color again worked really nicely. So we'll put some various sizes and various colors. And you can, you know, you don't have to use, like, I'm not going to use the purple on here because I didn't specifically have purple, but I felt all the other colors worked well. But if you have a bunch of enamel dots, just grab them and pull colors from whatever works. You can mix and match things just like you can mix and match your ink and your stamps. Okay, so we've got that on there. And this out. And then we are going to use the Touch of Gloss, which is a glossy effect. And I'm gonna put that off onto the side. Make sure that it's coming out. I always, with any of my, you know, glitter, glue type things or anything that you're squeezing, I would always recommend just squeezing it off to the side to make sure that it's coming out nicely. Because there's nothing worse than, I have a lot of nothing worses today, than squeezing stuff onto your project and it making a big mess. So I'm not going to do all of them. I forgot to color in a gumball there, but you don't really even notice. So I'm just randomly going through and doing a few little dots here and there, and maybe one up here. That looks so fun. And then I usually just give the tip a wipe and then just make sure that the cover is on. And that is it for our cute little gumball card. So if you have a birthday or just a hello or a friend that you want to send this to, I think this would be super fun. Super fun kind of summery card. And it came together pretty quickly, and I think it looks pretty cute. Tamara, there are white gumballs, so you're right. We have a white gumball. Thanks, Lauren. Thank you, everyone. So that's our card for today. It is almost the end of the month, and there's, I think, maybe a couple more days. Maybe this is the last day to vote in the Card of the Month group. So we have a Facebook group for that too. And if you're making cards, we want to see your cards in the Card of the Month group for sure. Thank you. Thanks so much. So check out our Facebook groups. We have scrapbooking groups, card making groups. There's a photo a day group, and next week will be the first. We always upload our new sketch to our sketchy challenge group, as well as our new list of photo prompts, which are always fun. So check out those groups, and I hope you have a really fun weekend crafting if you're taking a long weekend. because of the Canada Day holiday, then have fun. And all our US friends, I hope you have a really great 4th of July happening next week. So have a wonderful weekend. Love you guys, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.